Hello, and welcome to Time Between Times storytelling with me, Owen Staton. The wheel of the year is turning quickly into winter, but here we are at the height of summer, still a place where tales can be traditionally told, still a place where we can lose ourselves in a story told from long ago. Welcome to the Time Between Times. The time where it's neither night nor day, but the sun has gone and the sky is grey. The time when the veil between our world and the fairy world is wafer thin. So thin that for a few moments and a few moments only, we can reach into their realm. And for a few moments they can reach into ours. Now is the time that people see those lights wandering the sky. Now is the time that people see a ghost out of the corner of their eye. Now is the time that the Tylwyth Teg dance on the mountain tops. Now is the time when we gather amongst friends, at the time between times, at the fire pit at the heart of the forest. Welcome. Take a deep breath. Sit back and relax. Let your imagination open to a tide of traditional tales. Come with me back to the year 1642. To the Midlands of England, where the Battle of Edgehill is raging. The first battle of the English Civil War. The parliamentarians and the royalists are doing battle for the future of that country. The air is rent with the screams of the dying. Musket shot and cannons fire through the air. The clash of swords and pikes right there in the centre. But our story takes place at the time between times. Just as the sun was starting to set, just as the moon was starting to rise. The field of the battle was still. And suddenly a young man who had fought for the parliamentarians arose and started looking around. His name was Jeremiah Stone, and his leg was in agony, having been pierced by a sword earlier on. He had lost consciousness. But when he awoke, he looked around to see piles of bodies everywhere. His mind was awash with the horror of this, but Jeremiah Stone was a pragmatist, and as he looked next to him, there was the body of another soldier with a bag of gold coins next to him. Using all his strength, Stone reached out and grabbed the coins and placed them there under his coat. The next soldier had a gold ring. He took that, another, a necklace. Soon he crawled around in agony, leading a trace of blood, but had gathered enough wealth to keep him in good for many years gone. He stretched and crawled, made his way off the battlefield. Soon he saw a farmer with a cart. He paid the farmer a coin and asked to be driven into the town of Warwick. The farmer obliged. Although the agony was great, in his mind he knew his future was safe. But first he had to get his legs seen to. The cart made its way down the rickety roads into Warwick, until it came to an inn called the Anchor. There Stone got off and knocked on the door. The innkeeper opened it, and Stone fainted in his arms. He awoke later by the fireplace. The innkeeper said, "Are you okay?" "I am fine, but I will need to see a doctor. As you may have noticed, my leg is somewhat hurt. Is this something you could see for me? I will need to stay here as well. I have coin aplenty." Here, he reached under his coat, pulled out a bag full of gold coin and jewellery, gave it to the landlord. "Look after this until I am ready to leave. You may take what you want from it, for my food, for my lodgings, for what the doctor will want. But when I am ready to leave, return it to me." "Of course, sir," said the landlord. Weeks passed. His leg healed nicely. A fever he had caught went away. He was well fed, and the room was comfortable. But the day came when Jeremiah Stone was ready to leave, to start his new life. He humbly walked down the stairs. saw the innkeeper, the landlord. "My friend, it is time I leave you. Could you return to me my riches?" "I don't know what you're talking about, sir." These were the words that Stone did not want to hear. "You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's what I left you when I came here." "No, sir. You left me nothing. I will have to pay for your keep. Now I kindly ask you to leave if you would." Jeremiah Stone's rage knew no bounds. He almost leapt over the bar, but for his ill leg. But then he was thrown out into the street. He rushed back and hammered on the door, trying to get in, started to kick at the door, trying to get at that landlord. But some watchmen were passing and grabbed hold of him and chucked him in the jail, where he sat in darkness, his life in pieces. He had been arrested for attempted burglary and would be in court the next day. He sat in the corner. Darkness descended upon him. The jail was silent but for the screams of other prisoners far away. He could not sleep. The night fell, the moon rose, and then at midnight he sat up and said, "I would give anything, anything at all to have vengeance on that landlord." Then it happened. He saw what he thought was a shadow, and then perhaps a shadow's shadow, reach for the bars of the cell outside. Then he noticed it was a figure all dressed in black, wearing a wide-brimmed black hat, and with gleaming red eyes. "Are you Jeremiah Stone?" said the figure, in a voice as old as the mountains and as capricious as the sea. "I am." "I will be happy to represent you at court tomorrow, if you will let me have any trappings that come my way." "Do you have any legal training, then?" "Of course, sir. I have weighed up many options over the years, and since you seem not to have much choice, I ask you to accept my help." "Very well. If you will help me, then I would be most happy." The next day the court was called. Everyone had gathered. Jeremiah Stone hobbled into the box and stood there. And then in came his legal representative, dressed entirely in black, the wide-brimmed hat, and smelling of brimstone. He always looked down so his face could be barely seen, but he made his way to the front and called the landlord to give evidence. I am the landlord of the Anchor Inn, and this man came to stay a little while ago, but he never paid, and I paid for a doctor and for people to look after him while he was ill. But when he left, he asked me for money, and he became violent and tried to brash into the inn itself, so I asked him to leave, and that's the extent of it, really." "Really? So my client, Jeremiah Stone, didn't give you any money, did he?" "No, sir, he didn't." "Well, what if I was to say that the watchman here could search the inn and try and find a small purse full of gold coin?" "Well, sir, if that's the case, then if I'm telling lies, then let the devil take my soul and let me leave here right now," said the innkeeper. As he uttered the words, thunder rent the air outside. Lightning caused all who had gathered in the court to look at the windows, and when they looked back, the man in the wide-brimmed hat had gone. But also the landlord had vanished as well. Everyone screamed and rushed and moved around, and outside a scream was heard, as the town of Warwick suddenly smelt of brimstone. The people gathered outside and looked to the sky, and there they could see a figure flying through the air, carrying the landlord by the scruff of his neck. until he vanished. Jeremiah Stone walked back to the Anchor Inn, having been released from the court, for there was no one to give evidence against him. He returned to the Anchor, and there on the bar was a bag of gold coin, but also a small note. On that note, it simply said, "Enjoy the gold coin. You will pay me back later." What happened to Jeremiah Stone, we do not know. But that story has been passed around for generation after generation. The landlord was never heard of again. But still in the Anchor Inn in Warwick this tale is told. And now I tell it to you today, at the time between times. A time it's neither night nor day, but the sun has gone, and the sky is grey. The tale of the Devil of Edgehill. Thank you for joining me, my friends. Please like and subscribe. There are over 100 videos here now for you to enjoy, all tales traditionally told. If you have any suggestions, just email me at owenstaton@aol.com. Follow me on Twitter at OwenSGriffiths, and look out on there for some nights, I tell a tale on Twitter Spaces. If you're feeling really generous, I also have a Patreon account, which will follow on the link just after this. If you'd like to support me to tell these tales, I would be really, really grateful. In the meantime, take care, enjoy your week, and I will see you here again for more traditional tales. Nostra.